30 plus years flipping commercial real estate. Started at age 19. Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man. I have an interview today that you gotta see. I met this guy a few weeks ago and found out that I was talking to someone and communicating with someone that's where I want to be. He's been flipping commercial real estate since a very, very young age. And today he's going to share his experience with us and a lot of knowledge that can be used on how to get started, how he started, and what's possible. Done a lot of deals, owns a lot of properties. You just got to sit back and just take it in as I have over the last few weeks. But you're going to get the Cliff's Notes version of it. But before I get into the actual interview, just to do some house cleaning. Next week's Flipinar, the title will be Find Deals with No Money. A lot of you don't have the cash to even do a few hundred bandit signs or the direct mail, so I'm going to give you some ways on finding deals with no money. It does take patience and persistency, but I'm going to give you the ways to do it. So register for that at flipinar.com. Still have this building. We had to readjust some of the numbers. It's a mom and pop operation, so you're still going to get your fee. We reduced the price. So to download the updated information and the new price, go to apartmentsforsale.net. The fee is still $10,750 for a buyer. Don't forget about my 200 free videos on YouTube. Just go to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Call or text me. Turn on the notifications on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You want a copy of the free contract, text contract to 313131. Don't text me, text 313131, those 6 digits. If you want me in your town as a coach, you see the number here, text or call me for pricing. If you're interested in flipping commercial buildings, flipthisbuilding.com. You see all the benefits here, no competition. You can do it from your home virtually. You have the entire country to target, no cash or credit needed. Obviously, big fat paydays, flipthisbuilding.com. If you need proof of funds, you're going to deal with real estate agents. The only way they're going to take you serious is with proof of funds. So go to the site, realpf.com, submit your phone number. The next page, Keith is going to explain. Same thing with privatemoneylist.net. The name speaks for itself. If you need private money or for your buyers or potential buyers, this is the place to go. So hold on to your seat. Get ready for the interview. 30 plus years flipping commercial real estate. Started at age 19. Here's the story. Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man. Today is a really good day. Anytime that I can bring someone's story on and hope it gets outside of what I'm doing and share that, hey, I'm just a small piece in the cog, but today I have a huge cog in the wheel that's going to share his experiences on the commercial side of the game. His name is Tom. He's a commercial real estate investor. He's been doing it for how many years, Tom?
Man, I bought my first property when I was 19 and I'm about to turn 55, so 35 years, man.
Okay, so a season in the game. So welcome, Tom, to my channel. I'll just start with saying uh, you reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. It's
Yep.
really easy and quick for me to figure out when someone's real or not. And
Yep.
and definitely, you're real. So just tell me. No, we'll go with how you got started and all this stuff, but just how
Sure.
you found me, and then we'll get into the other stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, first of all, I'll tell you, you folks that are following Flip Man, you got a great mentor because uh, I got into this originally. I've been doing this for 35 years. I've had a great life. I enjoy everything that you get with money and security, and it just gives you opportunities and everything else. And just like Ty, I started with nothing. I mean, my folks divorced when I was young, and half my family went with my mom, and I lived with my dad in a trailer park. And uh, we weren't poor, but we were just we were a little below middle class probably. And But bottom line is, I started with nothing, and my dad was a great dad, but he didn't have a lot of money, but he's a great dad, and that's what mostly matters, anyways. But so, uh, but I wanted money. I wanted money. That was obvious. I went through the pain of being on welfare as a kid. I drank powdered milk, the Velveeta cheese, and it was way too much of my diet when I was a kid, when I was living with my mom. And I had the shitty clothes and the hand-me-down stuff that it doesn't make you feel real great in school. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. So, but it motivated me to want to make money. And so, am I flickering, by the way? I got a light kind of acting weird.
Oh no,
Is it
no,
okay?
you're fine on my end. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, good. So anyways, uh, I'll get back all the way to when I was a kid. So I was buying and selling candy, and I'd go to the store and I would buy like 20 suckers, and then I'd go to school and I'd sell them for twice, three, four, five times as much. I'd sell them for as much as the market would bear at school. And fortunately, when I was a real young kid, I was at a school where somehow I was a third grader and they had high schoolers. So that meant money. I had rich people there, okay? High schoolers. 25 cents for a damn sucker. Then nobody would give me that much for it. So, uh, man, Ty, I got a light that's driving me crazy. I'm going to have to do something about this.
Okay, that's cool. Go. This is impromptu. Just take care of it. I'm here.
All right, give me just a pause here, and I'm going to take care of this. One sec.
Okay, yeah, guys, we're waiting on Tom to correct his lighting, but definitely stick around. This guy's the real deal. It's where I want to be. I've done a lot of deals, and commercial is my number one focus now, and that's what he does. You know what I'm saying? And all levels of it, which is just so encouraging. Some of the deals he's going to be able to share with us. Um, it'll be worth sticking around here. As they got a technical difficulty with his lighting, so
I got
um,
it. It's almost ready.
um, so I think he's getting it corrected here.
All right. Sorry about that. We're on battery power. So anyways, let's see where I left off. So anyways, I knew I wanted to make money because, just the same motivations. I'd see my dad, we'd be pulled over on the side of the road. And so many times I'm looking at the hood of the car from inside the car, being a little kid. My dad's under the hood trying to fix it. So we all have plenty of motivation to make money, but that was mine. So I began reading books on real estate. Dave Delgado, Wade Cook, Robert somebody, and a lot of guys, a lot of people haven't even heard of, because it's kind of going back a ways. But and it kept me motivated, and and of course there's a lot of naysayers that say it can't be done, and some of these guys are just packaging information that they don't necessarily know much about, but it still serves to motivate people. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, anyways, that, and then the first property. I'll get to my first property. I dropped out of high school and I went to work in a cabinet shop. And the cabinet guy that I worked for, he was having some marriage troubles at the time, and before long, he was starting to have some little bit of drug trouble too. He was doing cocaine, and the business was getting tough. And ultimately, his business crashed. So over that year that I worked for him, I accumulated some tools and stuff. I knew someday I'd want to have my own cabinet shop. Well, so when he went out of business, I started working out of my garage. I was renting a duplex, and but I was growing out of that. Then I went into a building, and I rented a building, but I was kind of living in the building that I was renting. And the landlord said, "Look, Tom, can't live in the building. The place is going to burn down, and I'm going to get sued." So I had to start looking for another place. And so I saw a place for rent. I called the guy, and then the guy says, "Hey, why don't you just buy the place?" And I go, "I can buy it, And now remember, I'm driving a Camaro. I'm 19 years old. I have hair down to my shoulders, and I have a lot of allergies. So my eyes are always bloodshot. So people always assumed that I was high, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I just looked like I was stoned and I looked the part, you know, Camaro long hair. And, but I wasn't. But so I said, well, how am I going to buy it? You know, I don't have any credit. He says, well, let me figure it out. And so, and what was funny is he says, let me show you some properties for sale. Well, pulls me up and he shows me the property that where I had formerly worked, a 6,000 square foot industrial building. And so I'm like, well, I used to work here. And he said, oh, you did? He goes, well, yeah, they foreclosed and took it away from the previous owner, which was my boss. And so it'd been sitting empty for a good 6 months. And so I said, well, how are we going to buy it? He says, well, look, they can owner finance it. And so that's how I learned about owner financing, just by chance. And he just wanted a commission. And so what the deal was is we wrote a deal where I had a 6 month look at the property, and that allowed me to move in and not pay rent for 6 months. So I saved the money over that 6 months for the $10,000 down payment that I was ultimately going to need at the end of that 6 months. And I told them, I says, look, let me move into it. That way nobody will burglarize it or break into it, and I'll take care of it while I'm getting the financing together. And they agreed, which goes to, you know, a lot of people, there are no rules when it comes to selling real estate, especially with owner financing. Two people can agree to do anything they want to do. And so you can get as creative as you want. And I always tell people, you got to remember, the seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy. And when you got a seller that wants to sell, you would be surprised how far they will go to accommodate you and help you how they can. So, anyways, long story short, they owner financed the property. We closed the deal, and it wasn't like a week or two after we closed the deal, the for sale sign was still on the building. And somebody drove by and they pulled up and they said, hey, I'm interested in buying the building. I said, well, I just bought it. And they go, you did? And they go, well, you know, what'd you pay for it? And I told him. And he says, well, he goes, I'll give you $20,000 more right now. And so my eyes got about that big because I thought, what? You'll give me $20,000 more than what I just paid? You know, and I was owner finance. I only had $10,000, you know, in this deal. So that's what opened up my eyes to the profits. But of course, I was building a business, so I stayed in the building, and but then I continued to look for more properties. So I started looking at houses, and you know, I found houses that were, you know, $25,000, $30,000 that were probably worth $45,000, and I'm talking. You know, I go knock on doors, or if I see, you know, like a yard that isn't being taken care of very well, you know, I go to the tax assessor records back then, and you know, y'all got it on computer now. I used to have to go down and pull it from what's called a microfiche. Many people don't even know what that is, but it's a piece of film that you
I
drop.
know it is.
Yeah, it's a piece of film about as big as a you know a 4x6 you know
Mm-hmm.
you
Postcard,
drop
yeah.
that in this machine, and then the light reflects under it and it projects it. It's like a microfilm. And so that's how I would have to get the addresses for these places and then handwrite them down. And so, but I'd make a deal, or I'd see a for sale sign. I'd be the first one there. You know, the first one there. As soon as that's why I always say, comb your neighborhood, find a for sale sign, be the first one there, and you'll have the first chance to get an offer in. And if you know, your offer gets accepted before anybody else gets an offer in, you know, you've got it made. Uh, so, so what I did though, I still didn't have credit, even though I bought that building owner finance. I still didn't have credit. I really didn't have any money either. So I found a house. Remember, I had cards written up that said, I buy homes under 50,000. And I would hand that to a realtor and they would just laugh. And they go, yeah, I do too. I said, well, look, if you got one you can't afford that you run into that's under 50, I said, I'll buy it right away. And so I passed those things out. And then one day I get a phone call. And this is a real interesting story. I haven't never really shared with anybody on video yet. So I find this house, I think it was 2,600 square feet. And this guy called me. He says, Tom, I got some people. They're really motivated. They want to get rid of this house. And their dad's living in it. And it's kind of a mess. And I said, what do you want? He goes, they'll take 50. I said, I'll take it. And I went by, and I didn't even go in the house. I drove by the house, and I thought, wow, that's great. And I just kept driving, went straight to this realtor's office, sat down with him, And I said, look, I'll either give you $34,000 cash, or I'll give you 50,000, and we'll do a 2 month escrow. And they said, okay, well, let's think about it. And then we all drove over to the house together. Now, we go into this house where their father was living. Okay, we go inside, and there is cockroaches everywhere. I remember going into the kitchen. There were dead cockroaches stuck head first down into cold bacon grease. I mean, the place was disgusting. Then
Wow.
you walk into the living room, and you could see they were all smokers, and you could see where the walls were white, but they went from like white at the baseboard, and as you went up the wall, they would get darker and darker till it got to a chocolate brown at the ceiling and the top, and that was just from the nicotine and the smoke that from smoking in this thing for years. Now their dad's sitting on the couch, and he was like out of it. I don't think it was drugs. I think he was just very old. But there were other couple of other derelicts that nobody knew who these guys were, you know. So
Hmm.
they were very concerned. They just wanted to get out of this thing. Well, this is what was funny is so we go over, we're walking through the rest of the house, and I'm looking at it, and there's these double doors, okay, in the hallway where the water closet is, you know, that water heater in the FAU. And so I go to open that door, and it's kind of hard, and I jerk it open. Well, there were cockroaches all over the top of the door that none of us knew about. And so when I jerked it open, it threw cockroaches all over me, the realtor, and the sellers. And so the woman just screamed, and we looked in there, and it was just so many cockroaches, you'd never believe it. And so they said, let's just get out of here. So we went down, we went to the office. They said, we just want cash. We'll take 34,000. That was the deal, 34,000 cash in 30 days. I didn't have the money, but I knew the neighborhood. This was a very, very good deal. And so I went and got a partner. He agreed to get the money. He got the money. We closed the deal. I painted it up. I cleaned the windows a little bit, and I resold it, I think, for about 60 grand. So we each made, I think, about 10 or $12,000. And then I found another house. Owner carried 6,000 down. I put 6,000 down on that. I flipped it. I made another 10. So now I had like $20,000 in my seed money. And then I actually found I found another place that I could turn into a duplex. Again, I always drive my neighborhoods constantly. So first sign of a sale sign comes up, I'm the first one to call. And I always set a sense of urgency because a lot of people want to, the first call that comes in on a property, they'll be like, oh, well, we want to just let it sit on the market for a while. When I hate that because, of course, that means somebody else is going to come along and probably will offer more. So I'll
Hmm.
usually go in and I'll say, yeah, look, I'm leaving town in 2 days, but I want to buy it. Let's make a deal because I'm leaving town. And so it puts the urgency back on them because they got a bird in the hand now. So I always try to, if they start acting like, well, we're just going to let it sit on the market a while, I'll say, well, I'm leaving town, but I'll buy it now if we can write it up now. And then, agents always want their commission. So a lot of times they're like, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and write it up with Tom. He's serious. He wants to close this deal. So whether I'm leaving town or not, I say I'm going to leave town because I don't want them to think that I'm just sitting here waiting for somebody else to offer more. So, anyways, uh, that's where it happened. Like I said, the first one I needed help with, and then I found an owner financed again on a house. I bought that by myself. Then I found another one that was one that I couldn't buy myself because I just bought one by myself, so my money was tied up. So I took my same partner in on that one, and he he helped. He decided. He said, "Tom, I really like this property. I'd like to keep it." And so we figured there was about $15,000 profit on this thing. So I said, "Just give me 6, and you can have it." And so again, that kind of goes to what you guys call wholesaling. I used to call it, and I didn't call it flipping. You guys call it flipping. People call it wholesaling. I think it's kind of the same thing for what you guys use today. But what I called it was assigning. I would just be assign my interest. And
Correct.
so
Correct.
so that's what I did, and then I got that money from him, and and then actually I bought a real cool, huge home that I actually lived in. So it wasn't It was like the fifth house that I bought is the one that I actually lived in, but I didn't live in the first five. Um,
Okay.
so in just about 1 year, I went from nothing to now I had a beautiful 3,000 square foot home I bought, and it was a hardship sale. It looked like the Brady Bunch's home, huge kidney shaped pool, jacuzzi. It was over 3,000 square feet, enormous lot, had like a sport court, and yeah, I mean it was beautiful. And I lived in that for quite a while, and it's probably as nice as the home as I live in today. To be honest, it was really nice. And I was only 20 something then, or early 20s. So, well, Ty, I don't want to go tell my whole life story. Is there anything in particular we should talk about?
Well, well, yeah. I which all of that stuff is very, very interesting. I guess what a lot of people struggle with, um, and the purpose I'm doing this, I guess, this interview with you, which I appreciate your time, is I somewhat talk about commercial, and they see I put deals out there, maybe a multi-family, maybe a triple net opportunity, and I really get into those deals with no money. I don't even know if I discussed it with you on how I even get around to earnest money, So,
That's pretty good. You can get around here.
which but we're going to assume that they may have the earnest money, even though as I can get them around that. But we're going to assume they have 5, 10, maybe 15,000 because they build a little nest from wholesaling houses or whatever, but they don't have the
Oh yeah.
financing in place to do the deal. They still just want to wholesale it. Do you have any of your transactions that you have done over the years that may fit that criteria? Where hey, you only had about 15
Yeah, yeah.
invested and you wholesaled it, or in your situation the way you described it, you assigned it and
Yes.
made X number of dollars.
Yeah, mini deals. And just so let me tell you, you can get people a lot of times assume they need to go $1,000 or $10,000 down for their earnest money. You can do $500 on $1 million deal. It's possible. And like you say, I'm not sure how you get around it completely, but I don't. When I was younger, for sure. I mean, an earnest money was never more than $1,000, and sometimes it was as little as 2 to 4 or 500. And I assume everybody can raise that. You know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
Especially today. I could raise it then 25 years ago or so. And
Well,
so,
just from dealing with brokers, let me just say this because normally it's I ain't gonna say it's rare, but it's more likely you'll be dealing with a commercial broker versus the actual owner in a lot of these situations. And a lot of times the earnest money becomes an issue, not because the owner won't accept it. It's just the broker. That's their way of, am I wasting my time, so called. So
sure.
before you get too deep into that, you say you could put 1,000 down. Most brokers there, that might as well be zero to them. So how would you frame that to them? Well, hey, I'm sure because the next thing they're gonna want, even if they
Easy.
considered 1,000, they want to now see proof of funds. So so just try to put that in again in the way you handle those situations because those are roadblocks that are real. That because
Yeah.
the broker is really looking out for their interest more so than hey, this guy's wasting my time. You never know who you have on the other end, and I hate when they try to handle that. As a matter of fact, some brokers will even when you call them, they start basically interviewing you, and so I'll just cut them off. I say, wait a minute, is this a job interview, or we're going to talk about buying or selling this property? So but to get into how if you made $1,000 earnest money deposit and they want proof of funds, don't have it or whatever, how would you handle something like that or some of your experiences on stuff like that?
Well, okay. Generally, what I do is, and I'm going back to when maybe things were a little bit tighter than they are for me now, because what I always say, you test sincerity with the wallet, and that's kind of what they're trying to do, and I do
Yeah.
that too with people I sell to. But,
Uh-huh.
but yeah. So how do you get around it? Well, a lot of times, you tell them that you're buying this on with family, and that the money's there, and that maybe what you do is you say, look, I'll give you $500 down, and we'll increase it to 10,000 at the end of 30 days. And you can even tell them that, look, I'm going to put $500, but I want to make sure that we have a clear title report first, or a reason that you're going to give them the rest in 30 days. Also, like I have many entities. I'll give you an example. And I'm looking at a pile of entities. Okay, see these? Each one of these is a corporation or an LLC or a limited partnership, and this is just a handful. I have way more than I can pick up in front of me down here. And those holds property. Well, so you can always say that, look, this is going to be bought in the name of an entity that is going to, be taking funds. You just make it kind of complicated. You know what I mean? In other words, the funds are coming. It may be a 1031 that's getting flipped, or it's part of a family estate. Because a lot of times when I buy properties, I'll say, look, I don't want to put a bunch of my personal money down, because all of this money is going to come from a 1031 or from a trust fund that I have set aside. The main thing is, I think you can talk your way around it as long as you make them feel like the few hundred or the $500 you're putting up, that you will forfeit it, that you'll say, look, I'm going to put $500 down, and it can be non-refundable. It can be non-refundable after 20 days. Okay, if I don't increase the deposit. You follow me? So now you got 20 days for $500 or something like that. But you just say, I'm working with money that's from another account. I'm happy to put this up. It can be non-refundable in 20 days. We want to make sure the title's clear. Make it contingent on a clear title report, right? But sometimes you're not going to be able to get over that. There's a lot of flakes. Go ahead.
Well, I like to say most won't, but enough will. The way I look at it, if they don't accept, whenever I know you say you just go straight to contract, but whenever I send over an LOI to someone and I have those terms in there, to me, if they don't accept the way I want to position my earnest money, it's just like we didn't agree on the price. You see what I'm saying? So because you're going to make plenty of offers where they're not going to budge on the price. So if that's a huge factor, which normally it is, and you can't come to any other terms, then it's a dead deal. Same thing with earnest money with me. It's just the entire process, because a lot of times when I put an offer in, the price will probably already work. Well, I'm talking about commercial here. It probably will already work at what their listing price is. I'm just trying to get them to do it where I don't have to put any money up. So if they accept the terms on when the earnest money is applied, then we have a deal. And a lot of times, the other thing that I do to push that, and you probably do this, I don't know if you do, but I give the broker an incentive to make it work by adding a percent, saying that I'll pay a percent and a half, 2% or 2.5%. You see what I'm saying? So I let the greed of humans, which we all have, play into, my favor or whatever. Because and then I never use my own broker. I call the listing broker directly. So now he can keep 100%. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a broker.
Right. It's and you should almost always try to deal directly, of course, with the listing broker. Once in a while, you'll get a broker that is just edgy. They almost don't want the responsibility of representing both sides. Yeah. And they're saying they almost would rather you grab another broker, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, so, it's really, I think it's just a matter of feeling out what they want to make them comfortable. I like what you're doing. I get a little bit nervous with letters of intent because when people bring them to me, I say, look, do you want to buy it? I'm tough. I say, give me a contract. I said, I don't want a letter of what you think you want to do. You know what I mean? Right. So, but I'm tough on that. You know what I mean? So, and I don't like it when somebody wants to represent me and say, well, we're going to write a letter of intent. I go, no, don't write a letter of intent. You write a damn contract, because I want to sit signature. I want to tie this thing up. And if
Yeah.
maybe the money's, I'm worried about losing it, I just say, look, $500 now. I'll say $500 now, non-refundable, and at the end of 30 days, I'll increase the deposit to $10,000 when I see a clear title report, and then we'll close in another 30, 60 days after that. And that works for a lot of people. And a lot of times, when you get into the commercial property, a lot of times the agent isn't even really talking to the owner. Sometimes they're talking to the representative of a company. And nobody cares. It's
Right.
crazy. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's such a broad deal because if you're flipping houses, stuff under 100,000, 200,000, you can play with a lot less money. $500 is not an unreasonable security deposit. I mean, you got to remember people that are buying. Go ahead.
No, I don't. Go ahead. Go with your thought. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, just think about this. So many new home buyers, they're set up where they can buy with a 5% down. So they're only talking about a total of $10,000 down on a $200,000 home anyways. So if they're giving you $500 down, I mean, that's not unusual, I don't think, for a house under 200,000.
No, it's not. And I tell students and I guess non-students that and now we're talking about in the realtor world here, I guess, on residential. If you don't have 500 minimum to deal with them, and a lot of times proof of funds, unless you're experienced, they're not going to even want to deal with you as far as taking you serious as a buyer. Now, again, it's all about positioning yourself and how you sound. Because what I'll do with this, and I'll share this, I'll go ahead and share it with you. There's no secret or nothing. I think I've already put a video out there on it. If I place an offer on a property with a real estate agent, as far as on a residential property, and I have $500 put up 1,000 or whatever, but I'm going to send over the offer saying, I want it may be it's a 14-day due diligence period, and I'll put the $500 up after that due diligence period. All right. So if I'm trying to wholesale it, and then we'll close 7 days after that, so that's basically 21 days. All right. So if I'm trying to wholesale it, number one, it has to be a property that I can get into. It's going to be vacant in most cases. So I'll probably already have a couple of buyers that I'm cool with. Because it's not like listed properties or secrets. They advertise everywhere online. So you got to have a buyer that's ready to go. They're a little lazy. They're buying. They're active, but they want you to literally feed them stuff. That's one of the sources. They prefer people just feed them instead of them having to look. And so I'll roll with it that way. So that's a really technically a no money down deal. As far as on the commercial side, it's the same thing that you're doing. You say you put up 500 and you say you'll put up the remaining another 10,000 after 30 days. Basically, when I submit the LOI says $30,000 after the 45-day due diligence period. That's it. So they either take that or they don't. And then a lot of times they were, we never done anything. Could you give me an idea so I can go back to the seller and tell them why we're doing that? Well, this is what I tell them. I said, figured out a few years ago that why tie up that money and at any point I can pull it out during the 45-day due diligence period. Why not give me the 45 days and my money can remain somewhere where it's working for me instead of sitting somewhere in an escrow account? And when it go after the 45 days, it's hard. The only reason I would ever get it back is you can't produce a clear title. So, that makes sense, and it's true in a sense also. So, and then I'll back it up sometimes with proof of funds, which people can get that in. There's so many services that offer that, whatever. So that's how I'll structure it. And that's basically how you get into deals, high 6-figure, low 7-figure deals, and they accept it. But the flip, I guess the added to that is that I offer the broker additional commission. Sometimes they'll turn it down, but most of the time they don't. So I've given them an incentive that they're going to make more money than they were going to make anyway, even if they sold it at full price, because normally another broker brings a buyer to the table and they have to split that 50-50. You see what I'm saying? Instead of making commission.
It can put Yeah, when you offer 'em money like that, it puts them in a little bit. It can, depending on the agent, it can make them feel like, ooh, am I being tested for my fiduciary duties? You know what I mean? But you can also just tell them, hey, when I flip it or when I resell it, I'll let you be my agent. Because I
Okay, yeah,
kind of
that's
tell,
good also.
yeah, I always tell all agents, and I always honor my word, is I say, you bring me a decent deal. I said, you'll be the one that gets to put it on the market and sell it for
Oh
me.
wow, that's brilliant. I'll use
Yeah,
that.
because that doesn't conflict with anything that they're doing, you
Correct,
know?
correct.
And a lot of people, I used to be afraid, oh, I don't want the agent to know that I'm going to flip it because he'll do a double look at it and he'll be trying to, maybe he'll buy it himself. Most agents, man, they just want their commission and
They
nothing
just want
else.
their commission. Well, what I
They're,
found is a lot of times what they'll do to make the deal happen, because even though it may, they think they're doing something they shouldn't be. Normally, what they'll do is they may offer the seller like, well, they're willing to pay my commission, blah blah blah. So now the seller doesn't have to worry about that, part of them as far as their bottom line. And so, but again, the main thing is not that they're getting additional commission, is that they don't have to share commission. You see what I'm
sure.
saying? So we'll just use $1 million as an example. And if the commission was 3% on a million, and another broker bought a buyer, so normally they're going to do a 1.5 on each, right?
Sure.
Okay, so now you're doing commission basically on $500,000 in a sense. So so if they keep it a million and we can negotiate it down to 800,000, they're still going to make more money than they would have if they'd have sold it at full price if another broker bought the buyer to the table. If you break the
Right.
numbers down, so it's just playing with numbers. You see what I'm saying? So well, let me just say, well, just simple math, a million, 1.5 or 1.5% on a million is 15,000, right? Okay,
Yes.
3% on 800,000 is what, 24,000, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
yeah. So
I missed that last one.
yeah, yeah, no, no,
I see where
no.
you're
I'm
going
saying
there.
3%. If they get 4% on, if you made the offer of 800,000 and it gets accepted, they make 3% because another broker is not involved. That's 24,000. But if they sold it at full price and another broker was involved on a million, they get a 1.5%. That's 15,000. You see what I'm
Sure.
saying? So they actually made more money, but the actual sales price was less because
Right.
another
Well,
broker wasn't involved.
let me tell you something else how you can win over an agent on that, and I'll give you a couple quick stories. Uh, okay, I just posted a video on my channel about making $300,000 on some land. I actually made probably 380,000. I always try to underplay it a little bit, but so what happened on that is I was going to buy. I found 70 acres to buy. And I go to the agent, or not, there was no agent on this one actually. I'm talking directly to the owner. And I said, uh, well, rather than go into the details on how I bought that one, somebody can watch that video. But here's what happened on that. Uh, oh, I'm trying to get to the point I was going to make on that. Oh yeah, the commission. So I bought this property for 140,000, and I flipped it for 520,000. But what I did was when I put the property on the market, right? I mean, I closed the deal immediately with a small down, about 25% down on that. But I put it immediately back on the market, and I put a 12% commission on it.
Oh wow,
12%. Yeah.
wow.
And my thought was, man, people are going to be crazy about this. The agents are going to, really push hard for this, right? So now this is at a time when on land we usually would do land for 10% commission.
Hmm.
Houses would be 6% because
Yeah.
usually, land is in generally sells for less unless you get big plots of land. But so I put a 12% commission on this thing and put it to all the agents, and an offer comes in almost right away. I put up for 560. I got an offer for 520 with like 120,000 down, and they would assume the first that I had in place for 100,000, and I would take back a second for 295,000, 2450 a month was the interest I was getting on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I accepted that offer. But what was funny was on the listing agreement, they wrote 6%. They never even looked at what I'd put in the commission
Wow.
at. So I
Mm.
had 12%, and then here I get an offer, and they'd only put in 6%.
Wow.
So I was like, that's great. And so we just, they never even knew. There was no reason to bring it up to them because everybody was already satisfied with the deal that they made. So another thing, let's talk about that. You're talking about, uh, okay, yeah, motivation. This is the last property I bought. I have somebody that was wanting to buy a home and has a nice little neighborhood. She picked out a good area. And I said, man, that's a great area. And I said, this is what you do. She's a teacher. I said, every day you get off work, you drive that entire neighborhood. And as soon as you see a sign pop up, you be the first one to call on it. Well, she did that. And boom, she called on it and couldn't believe it. It was a house for 195,000, probably worth 260. Okay. And I said, she called me up. She says, well, my son's going to put an offer. He's an agent. And I said, I'm heading over there right now. And as soon as I got there, he had already called the broker, and the broker's phone was already starting to light up. And I said, look, you want this property. This is how we got to do it. I'm going to call the listing agent right now. And so I called the listing agent and I said, listen, I want to buy this property full price, no problem. I said, I'm buying this from my friend that's standing here that called you earlier. He's not going to participate in the commission. So I took the agent out of it. Told her son, I said, look, we're not going to get this place any other way. I'm going to deal direct with the listing agent. You're not going to represent your mom on this deal, but I'll give you a $3,000 commission on the side just for stepping out of the way. So he stepped out of the way. I got a hold of the agent. I said, listen, you need to come meet me at my office right now to write this contract up. Now, I'm financially, I'm pretty, substantial. So in this case, I had the guy come straight to my office so I could impress him with my big property. Also showed him that I have a lot of money. And I told him that I want to close this thing in 2 weeks, or actually, I said, we'll close it within a month, is what I think I told him. I said, but I'll pay cash. But I told him, you're the listing agent. You're going to get all the commission. He knows that, of course. But see, he was conflicted. He goes, well, it doesn't really matter. When another offer comes in higher. I say, I get it. I said, but I want you to come here because I said, I want you to know that this is the deal that will close. There is no chance of me backing out. Now, this doesn't fare for guys that we're trying to help right now. They come up against me, you're probably not going to win because I'm going to blow you out with cash. But that can happen. There's a lot of cash everywhere, so it can happen anyways. But that's why it's so important to be first. So anyways, he says, well, we have another offer coming and another offer coming in. I'm like, well, cut it off. And so he said, okay, we're not going to accept any more offers after 5 o'clock tonight. And thing had just gone up at noon that day. And so I said, look, my offer stands at 195. I said, but you must give me the opportunity. I'm the first one here. You got to have this guy know that he's got to counter me. I want to counter if he doesn't accept my offer. So he told me, he said, man, there's people, it's already up to 203,000. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what you do. I'll take it for 203 and I'll pay your commission. Oh, no, I take it back. No, I take it back. I said, yeah, you get 100% of the commission. Yeah, I said, you can have 100% of the commission and I'll do it for 203. So I matched, I just said, I'll do it for 203. I got to know right now because I'm leaving town. Okay, which wasn't true. But I'm leaving town, but I'll pay 203 for it. And so that's what we did. Is I got it for 203, and then I paid $3,000 commission to the other guy. I had to just stand aside because there would have been no chance if I went through another agent on that deal.
Correct.
So that's the beauty of real estate. Every deal is different, and you'll learn as you get going. That that you just kind of you got to listen to what people are talking to and find out what makes them comfortable. And like you already know, commission, if they get the whole commission, that's a big incentive. The thing is that, they need to know that you're going to close, because just because they're going to get the whole commission, and then if they disappoint and it doesn't close, then they're in hot water. So but again, like I said, I think, one good thing come out of this conversation already is you tell the agent that you're buying it from that you'll have them resell the property for you or
Mhm.
something. It
Correct. Correct.
helps. And here's another thing I do with agents is I tell them this. I say, look, I'm combing this neighborhood, and they'll know that I'm combing the neighborhood because they'll find one of my letters too or something. But I'll say, look, you find me a deal and I buy it from you. I said, I talk to a lot of people that don't want to sell me their property because they want more than I want to pay for it. If you'll help me find me, you bring me your listings first. What I'll do is the people that turn me down on taking my offers, I will put you in contact with them so that you can represent them on the market and sell it for
Hmm.
full price. So I give them very qualified leads of people that are willing to sell, but maybe not as cheap as I want to sell, but they can still sell it at full price and the agent gets money, but then they appreciate me and then, I work with them.
Okay. That's a great tip. Win-win-win. That's the name of the game. Um, well, Tom, man, you shared a lot of information, man, and I know you're a busy guy. Got more than sit here and talk to me to do.
No, no,
So,
it's good. I enjoy doing it. Yeah.
yeah.
Eh,
Is there anything that you would like to share to those out there that are just getting started? They don't have any money, not having credit, but they have time to put into educating themselves. What would you like to share to
Sure.
those
Yeah, listen.
individuals?
Listen, your life can change really quickly. Starting from zero, it's not a problem because it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. What neither one of you have at that moment is the deal, okay? The deal is the most important thing because if you don't have a deal, there's nothing to make money on. And that's the beauty of real estate is you can tie up an asset that's worth 100, 200, $300,000, and you can tie it up with just a fractional piece of money and have the right to buy it. As long as you have the rights to buy something, you have all the power. And so I'll tell you one more story about wasn't long after I closed some of those houses that I talked about earlier. I saw a building go. It was a plumbing supply company, and they stopped selling. Their doors were closed, and I thought, man, I like this building. I like this building. And so somebody told me they were going belly up. They were going bankrupt. So I asked around. I found out some of their friends, and I found out these people were living about 17, 18 miles out of town. So I run over there and I talked to them. I said, well, what's the deal? They said, we're just going to let the property go back to the bank. And I said, look, let's not do that. I said, let's write up a deal right now. I said, I'll give you $500 right now and we'll write up a contract. We wrote up a contract where they were going to sell it to me, but I gave them $500 for this contract. Then I ran back to the bank. I think it was actually an owner carry deal, the person that was financing their deal. And I said, look, I'll pick up their payments. I'll make up their back payments and we'll make this work. And they go, no, we're going to just foreclose. We want our money. We want our cash. And I said, okay, no problem. I said, look, well, I've got full rights to buy it right now. I'm going to close this deal. So I looked up my old, and this is good for people too, is to line up money in advance if you can. So I had a guy that I worked for, great guy, very successful builder in town. And I told him, I said, hey, look, John, his name was John Brooks, great guy. He's actually passed away, but he's a really great mentor. But I said, John, I found this building. I'm getting it for like 120,000. I think it's worth 220. And he comes over and he looks at it and he goes, Tommy, he said, this is a good deal. And he says, but I don't want a partner. He goes, how about if I just give you $20,000 and I'll buy it and you just go away? And I said, John, that's a great idea. And so that's what turned me on to assigning, or what you call wholesaling. It just kind of happened. And so the deal I made with him was he just gave me $20,000. We went to escrow. I put his name on the contract. He gave me the 20,000, and I don't even know. He probably made 100 grand on it, but it didn't matter. I got 20 for just bird dogging it. I call it bird dogging, for finding the deal. And so if you guys are out there, you guys that are just starting, if you're out there looking for property, the main thing is that you know values. As long as you know what things are worth, You'll know a great deal when you see one. I tell people, it's just like when you go shopping for a car. You're shopping for the car you want. Pretty soon, you know what's too much. You know what's too, you'll know a good deal when you see it on that car that you're looking for, that model. Well, it's the same with houses. It's a 3-bedroom, a 2-bedroom. You know the neighborhood. It's just like looking at a car. You'll have a good idea what something's worth if it's a little bit, in disrepair, or maybe it's fixed up. You'll know what it's worth, and you know that you got to get it at a deal. And so, no values, number one. Look, it doesn't matter that you can't afford to buy it. Maybe your credit is crap. It doesn't matter. Look around and know values, because it's the deal. You need to be able to find the deal and have the rights to buy the deal. Now, while you're doing that, go talk to your John Brooks, okay? I knew John Brooks. There's other people I could have gone to in town that I know are successful business people. We all know somebody like that. And so go find people that have money and talk to them and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to find deals on property. And listen, if I found a great deal, would you be willing to look at it with me and potentially be a partner? Or maybe, I would just flip it to you if it's a good enough deal. Get that lined up in advance, because that way, maybe you'll go find a deal that you can't afford. And maybe they want to know that they want to test the sincerity, and they want to know that you have the wherewithal to buy it. Well, you say, hey, let's just sign it up, and within 10 days, I'll show you proof of funds. And now you got the deal tied up, and now you've got 10 days to go find your potential partner and say, hey, man, they need to know that I can afford to buy this. Can you show me your money? You know what I mean? And then he will be your credibility. He will close. And then boom, that might be the whole thing. You just flip it to him, or maybe he becomes your partner and you sell it and you make money. And then now you got a partner forever. I got only one partner. I have one school partner I brought in a long time ago. I've known since 6th grade. He owns a couple of properties with me. I did it as a favor to him more than anything. But I had another guy. This is an interesting story. I had a guy, I was trying to talk him out of his property. I wanted to buy his apartments. They were called the Beverly Apartments. And I would jokingly call them the Beverly Hills Apartments, because he seemed so proud of them, And we got done, and I was trying to talk him into selling it to me, and I went through the numbers with him, and he says, Tom, he goes, look, I'm not going to sell you my property. He said, but I'll tell you what. He goes, if you ever need a partner, I will buy with you, okay? And this guy had money. And so about 6 months later, I call him up and I said, hey, look, man, I got 50 acres. I'm buying it right now. I'm buying it for $210,000. If you want to be my partner on it, you can buy it. You just have to put up, you can be a 1/3 partner. Give me 70 grand. He cut that check. He sent me the 70 grand. We closed that deal. That $70,000 that he put in with me is now worth about 4.5. Well, I'm sorry. He is worth about $1.5 million to him, because that partnership that I did with him, that led to buying another property, that led to a 1031. I flipped into another property and another property. And so now that $200,000 worth of property we bought is now in a partnership together, but now it's about 4.5 million. And so that's been over a term of about 20 years, but it's also making, I think right now that partnership is bringing in about $429,000 a year in income. Okay. I mean, that's the gross numbers. I probably, 300,000 for sure income, and he gets 1/3 of that. So, it's a great lifestyle. It's a great, great lifestyle. And Ty, I'll tell you what, man, you're doing it right, Ty. I like what you're doing, and you're doing things that I couldn't do because the internet wasn't around when I was younger. But now that I'm looking at it, I like what you do. You got a page showing, your potential properties that people can, you can wholesale to. And, it's a wonderful lifestyle, just not having to punch a clock and being your own boss. I mean, it's the best, right?
Oh, no question about it, man. Just to tell people how they can reach you, Tom has his own YouTube channel. He really put it together more so, as he said, that he wants to put together a library of his thoughts and his techniques for his actual sons, but he's sharing it with the world also. He has twin sons. I thought you say they're 14. right
Yeah,
now?
I got twin boys that are about to turn 14, and then I also have two girls in college. So my
Okay.
college girls, they're just busy learning. They got, they got no time, and they're in another. I mean, they're 400 or 500 miles away in a dorm. So they're going to college. My boys are young enough that they're still having fun playing. I take them with me everywhere. They see me pick up my properties. They see that I take care of it. So they're getting this. They're learning how I take care of properties and talk to my customers, my tenants. I'm talking about now. And I share some of that on my channel too. I show landlord life. I go into floods that I've had. All the different things that can happen, good or bad. I show that, but yes, the purpose of my video blog is I'm trying to make a roadmap for my boys to follow, particularly because I think they're going to follow. My girls too, maybe. But and I appreciate input and feedback and questions because if I have that from you, then I can address it, and then it gives a better roadmap for my own boys to follow. But Alzheimer's runs in my family. My dad died of Alzheimer's. His mother died of Alzheimer's, and I know I look a little bit younger than I am, but Alzheimer's might be 10, 15 years away for me. So
Yeah.
I'm very concerned that by the time my boys are old enough and interested, I may not have the capacity. Hell, I might not even remember the deals that I did.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm trying to lay it all out, but
You'll be
people can
you'll
get
be
the
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's an ugly thing, man. I hope so. So
Yeah,
we'll
you'll
see.
be okay, man. Well, man, we really appreciate it, man. Flip Anything USA. That's how you can find Tom on YouTube. Just do a search, Anything USA, all one word. You see it here on the screen. You can see the / Flip Anything USA, youtube.com / Flip Anything USA. Um, Again, man, we really, really appreciate this, man. You shared a lot of information,
Yeah.
stories for days, man. They're just very intriguing and insightful on,
Hey, and
if
we can do it
nothing
again.
else, just what's possible.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm telling you, I've done, and I appreciate you having me on, Ty. And I tell you, Ty's audience, let me tell you, you're in good hands with this guy. He's the real thing, and he's the only one I reached out to. And believe me, there's all kinds of people I see on the internet. I've been just starting to look at this stuff, but I thought, oh, let me give a listen to this guy. And it was very apparent to me immediately that Ty is the real deal. He's given good advice, sound advice, and some of the stuff I've seen out there, I don't feel quite so confident on. But I feel really good about Ty, and that's why I reached out and talked to him, and that's why I'm here talking to you guys now. And let me just tell you, the deals. Every time I talk about a deal, I mean, it reminds me of another one, and it's hard to even stay on focus. And uh, like there's one I'm almost dying to tell you again right now, but the money you can make is unbelievable. In fact, Ty, we should just do another show again, and I'll tell you,
Yeah,
I
yeah, we,
got some
we are
deals.
because
Oh
you and I
my,
are trying to put something together at some point. Either you're gonna have something that I can make some money off, well, we'll make money together, you know what I mean? Or I'm gonna be able to get something over to you. So, most definitely we'll do a few of these, over time or whatever. And obviously, whenever you're ready, I'll do something for Flip Anything USA. I don't think anyone had ever interviewed me, so hear my little 2 cents. Even
hey
though
man, no,
your two
yes.
cent is a lot more valuable than my 2 cents, but I'm trying to get there though, man.
Well, you know
Um,
what? And like I say, you do the mentoring. You have a mentoring service. That's awesome. I don't want to do that. I just don't have an interest. I'm too busy. I just don't want to do it. I don't, you
right.
know. But I like that you do it, and I believe there's real quality in what you offer. And so I think it's neat because people ask me to mentor, and I say, look, I'm not looking for your money. I'm not writing a book, but go talk to Ty if you want to mentor. Really. Uh,
No problem at all, man.
Good man.
But
Good.
But yeah, so hey man, I'm gonna chop this up and it should be available. This is a large file, so it may take me all day, a couple of days to get to it or whatever. But again, people, hey, share this video. You can watch it over and over again. And again, me and Tom, we should do some more stuff in the future. Again, Tom, thanks for your time, man.
Right on, man. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you all on the flip side.
See ya.